Toledo, a hub of entertainment, art, and also the crossroads of America. I'm Tim McMahon, and I'm hitting the road to discover the cities, neighborhoods, and gems beyond the Glass City. Join me for an adventure as I meet the people and tour the places at the beating heart of the Midwest. This is One Tank Travel. Downtown Adrian, Michigan has a little bit of everything, from a historic cigar shop to a rustic coffee house and a diverse array of drinks and eats. It's also home to the legendary Croswell Opera House, 155 years old, and you feel every bit of it sitting in the balcony overlooking the stage, which many figures throughout history graced with their presence.
When you're here, you know that you are in the same space that Frederick Douglass once spoke in, that Susan B. Anthony spoke in, Elizabeth Cady Stanton, where John Philip Sousa and his band played. So much history has happened here, and so many incredible, important people have stood within these walls that it is really something.
Tell me a little bit of a backstory, maybe since we're up here, the Cliff Notes version on the history of the Croswell. Tell me about it.
So if you were a leader in a small western town in the middle of the 19th century and you wanted to show that, that your town was on the map, the way you did that was you built a theater. But the funny thing is you didn't call it a theater, because in the Victorian era, theater was thought of as something maybe just a little bit disreputable, something that a respectable person would not be seen going to. So you called it something else. You called it maybe the Academy of Music, or you called it the Opera House, and that's how Adrian ended up with an opera house.
Named in honor of Adrian resident and former Michigan Governor Charles Croswell, the Opera House took on different forms throughout its history.
In the beginning, it was really kind of an all-purpose community hall where everything from church festivals to high school graduations, political rallies, lectures, even livestock shows would happen here. And then about 1920, it was converted into a movie theater. And live performance didn't happen very much here for about 50 years. But in the 1960s, the movie theater company decided to pull out. There was a very real chance that this building could be demolished. And that's the point when the community really rallied together and said, we are not going to let this beautiful old theater be destroyed. A local businessman by the name of Charlie Hickman bought the theater and turned it over to a new nonprofit. The first summer of live theater happened here in 1968, and it's been going ever since.
Taking me on stage and behind the scenes is the creative director at the Croswell, Jerry Ryder. So this is it.
This is it, the historic Croswell Opera House.
We're on stage at the Croswell Opera House, a lot of performances over the years. It's an amazing view out here. We were talking before the cameras started rolling. This isn't something that everybody always gets to see.
Yeah.
So we really wanted to stand up here and, you know, show this audience view. Are there ever nerves being out on the stage? First of all, have you ever performed on this stage?
Oh yeah, I grew up in this theater, at least it feels that way. When I was in high school, I started doing shows here and got really heavily involved all through high school and college. Then went off and did other things with my career, but what a privilege to come back and be here now. It's just important that we do what we can to keep the Croswell going, and the number of people that love and care about this building, and then give their time, their talent, just to make sure that the theater keeps going and that our productions are just spectacular, which is something we work hard at.
Being out and about with cameras, that never makes me, you know, nervous, and I'm kind of used to it. But being on a stage, I've never performed on a stage. Even just here, there's a different level of energy of being out here. Why is that? Where does that come from for, you know, performers to be out here? And why do you think that energy comes up for people in front of a crowd?
You know, the thing that happens when you stand up here, and I get to do a curtain speech most performance nights, and when that crowd is excited and ready to see a show, they are giving you so much energy. It is just the coolest exchange, where then the performers who have worked so hard, several weeks, giving up all kinds of other things in their life in order theater to be involved, then they give all of that back. It's why live theater is unlike anything else.
And something about these stage lights too, which I appreciate you putting these on because I feel like we're in a presence. There is a light, I've been noticing it over, the top of your head. Tell me about this light here because this is unique. Well, not to you guys, but this is something that's on, pretty much every stage. Why do you have this here?
So this is what's called the ghost light, and we don't know exactly where the idea of it comes from, but when the theater is dark, at the end of a production, the last job of a stage manager is to bring the ghost light out. Turn the light on, everything else gets turned off, so it's just about making sure people can see if they happen to wander into the space. But it's also, we think that perhaps it offers a friendly light for ghosts that might occupy the building, and also helps them remember where they were when they were on stage here. There's lots of stories about ghosts at the Croswell, and probably some of those are performers still hanging around looking for the spotlight.
It looks like it's always ready to go. How often are you, changing through and building new sets? How often do you reuse things?
So we build our own sets here. We are not a theater where we are bringing in like national tours. Buses don't line up with semi-trucks to unload scenery. We build it all, and it mostly gets built right here in this space.
What room are we in now?
Well, we're actually underneath the auditorium seating. If people could see the sloped floor, they would understand that that's the slope of the stairs, or of the seats. But this is where we store some of our costumes, just a small portion of the many, many, many costumes that the Croswell has. It's really a mark of a Croswell show. Costumes are always appropriate for the time period of the show. They're always finished with every detail. We hire great people to put gloves on every female that's supposed to have them, hats, the right shoes. Every little piece of a costume is attended to by our costume folks, and that's just one part of what makes coming to the Croswell so special.
Do you know, based on looking at some of these, what shows they were featured?
Well, sure, like these shirts, we did the musical Rock of Ages not that long ago, and several of the characters appeared often in, that rock and roll look, leather and Hawaiian shirts with a vest over it. Yeah, for sure, that's the kind of thing that happens with that kind of a show. But then we recently did Matilda, where we made school uniforms for each of the actors that were in that show. You can imagine, you could go buy a school uniform, but they wanted them to be special and unique and just for our show.
For sure. I'm actually shopping.
I feel like you're ready to go on stage.
I feel the Rock of Ages, yeah. Now if I go up there and get that energy again and be out on the stage, this is really cool. Let's check in with our sponsor, AAA, specifically the Auto Center manager, Matt Barnes. Matt, thanks for joining us.
Hey, thanks for being here, Tim.
Okay, we are in the Auto Center. This is where you guys check up on cars and obviously do everything that you would in a garage. Mechanics out here doing their thing. Why is it important for people to get their car checked out, for spring and summer trips specifically?
Well, a lot of times after a long, rough winter, people don't know that they need their autos repaired. There can be very subtle changes that happen over the course of the winter, and that's why it's really important to get your vehicle inspected before taking any spring road trips.
What are some of the more common inspections that you guys perform?
The most common inspections we perform are the tires. We want to make sure they have similar tread, the tread depth is proper. Obviously, the inflation is proper on the tires, including the spare tire, because that doesn't only help with mileage, but it also helps with the safety while you're taking your trip. Another thing we look at is if one of those tires is wearing unevenly, that could be a sign of an alignment issue or an alignment problem. Fluid maintenance is very important. You should have your fluids inspected with every oil change, and then follow the owner's manual when it comes to maintenance of your vehicle, because it breaks down just like oil does in your car.
What about wipers and things like that?
Wipers are very important. A lot of times, the only time that we realize that we need wipers is when it's raining outside.
Yeah.
And then it's a sunny day and you turn your wipers on, you get streaking. We inspect the wipers for any streaking, any tearing. It's very important to keep that windshield clean and keep proper vision so you can see what's going on, on the road ahead of you.
Matt, thank you very much. I appreciate you for taking this time. And if you want to become a AAA member, check out the link below and the discount as well, 50% off right now. We have more with One Tank Travel coming up after this quick commercial break. Welcome back to One Tank Travel. I'm in downtown Adrian, Michigan, grabbing a cup of joe at Copper House Coffee and chatting with owner Brett Cotton.
When we designed this idea, we wanted to kind of have almost two businesses kind of together. So we have our roasting production area, and then we've got our cafe kind of in the front. When we were kind of thinking through this whole concept of having a coffee shop downtown, what we really wanted to do was we first wanted to pick a roaster, because that we felt like everything had to start with the roast. So, and we really wanted to have something that's kind of a big attraction for downtown, something that makes people want to come down here and stay down here. We wanted to have that kind of specialty coffee experience. So we do real latte cups, so a lot of that kind of stuff is kind of, if you were to go to like Portland, Oregon, or you're gonna go to all these other kind of like trendy hip towns, and you see all these little coffee shops, that's really what we wanted to try to bring into downtown Adrian. And so I think we've done a good job with that. So coming from the brewing industry, we take sacks of grain and turn it into a glass of beer. For us, taking sacks of beans and turn it into a cup of coffee was just kind of along the same lines of what we've already been accustomed to.
Cotton also owns the appropriately named Cotton Brewing Company on the east side of Adrian, as well as Rice and Barley Taphouse a few doors down on the main drag.
In 2017, the opportunity to open up something downtown came up, so me and my wife kind of sat down and thought, what's something we could do downtown that would complement everybody else?
Add to that community feel, add maybe a different flavor.
Yep.
Right?
So we ended up coming up with more of a restaurant style, operation. So the food that we came up with is more Pan-Asian. We do sushi, we do pho, Buddha bowls, we do a lot of different buildables. So we kind of felt like that would be a really good fit for what's in downtown.
We'll grab a bite in a bit, but first I'm making a pit stop across the street at Mammoth Distilling. This is a Michigan-based company, but new to Adrian, relatively new. You guys are northern Michigan, like Traverse City area? Is that where it started?
Yep, we started in Central Lake, is where our production space is. So we only have all of our production happens in Central Lake. That's where our distillery is, as well as our rick house. And then we have four other tasting rooms like this one. This is number 5. The other 4 are all centrally located up there.
Mm-hmm. That's the MIT we're going off of, right?
This is Michigan, right? So we're down here in Michigan, the distillery's up here, our other tasting rooms are all up there. We're the first southern Michigan location, so kind of a lonely island down here right now, but we're definitely looking to expand more in in southern Michigan.
And you're adapting to your area and really becoming a part of this community, which is a tight-knit community as we're learning, being here throughout the day. One of your cocktails, it's the Maple Old Fashioned, named after the nickname for the city, correct?
That's correct. Adrian is known as the Maple City. I'm new to town, and I'm learning that all the businesses, everyone here knows each other and really supports one another. They've been really welcoming of Mammoth and really excited to have us in town, and we're excited to be here.
Mammoth draws, mammoth crowds thanks to clever branding, live local music, creative cocktails, and specialty classes that puts visitors in the distilling chair.
For the blending studios, we usually pick 7 or 8 really cool, unique barrels that you can taste individually with our distiller, and we'll talk to you about them and how they're different from one another and kind of sample them, and then you and your friends can get to work blending them in different ways. And once you find a blend that you like, we'll bottle it up for you and personalize it and all of that stuff.
Is this kind of like a destination shop when people come to town? You get out-of-towners?
Yeah, I get a lot of out-of-towners, both from Ohio and from up north, people coming from to come see sometimes Ann Arbor, like the Detroit area. Since we've opened, I've had quite a few people coming from both the north and the south saying, you know, we heard you were opening up down here. We're a lot closer to people on this side of the state than making the 4-hour trip up to some of our other locations. So people have been coming out of the way to make it here.
Well, I finished my beverage. Action was already underway in the kitchen at Rice and Barley. What are some of the challenges of preparing sushi?
There's a little bit if something is maybe wrong with the rice, like if it's not sticky enough or if it's too sticky, you might run into those little complexities. But as soon as you get cut, then if there's something wrong with it, you can easily, like I was taking with the mat, shaping it back up, so that way it has a nice shape instead of just like a compressed down sushi shape.
Have you always been a fan of sushi and this type of Pan-Asian food, or is this something new to you?
I've loved sushi for years. I love the flavors and everything, so once I started here, I was excited. I hadn't done much with it and just learned along the way.
I reunited with Brett at the bar and enjoyed a sud in a Dara cup.
Stands for Downtown Adrian Refreshment Area. So it basically means you can take your beer full and walk out the door with it, go visit other places in downtown, and it's completely legal to drink a beer on the sidewalk while you're walking down the road.
Craft beer and sushi may seem like an odd pairing at first, but Brett and his team make it work.
The food, you know, with the Pan-Asian side, it gives us a huge variety. I mean, we got Chinese, Japanese, Indian. I mean, there's all these Vietnamese. There's all these different ones we can do. And so, you know, most traditional bars, breweries, stuff like that kind of focus on pizzas, sandwiches, and stuff like this. So, you know, we visited a lot of different cities to try to come up with like what would be a fun idea. You know, we decided even this steel down here, we put chemicals on it to give it this distressed urban look. So we tried to come up with the kind of this like kind of twisted kind of classic urban look. So with our decorative lights and the kind of like I said, distressed steel everywhere. So that's really kind of what we wanted to go for. But we wanted to kind of set ourselves apart, you know, kind of make it something that, you know, they're coming here for a specific reason, and that's either going to be the food or the beer.
Or if you're like me, both. I mean, you see this huge bowl. Luckily, I have a film crew here to help me, but this is tremendous food at Rice and Barley. Coming up, I'm celebrating the end of an eventful day in Adrian. You're watching One Tank Travel, presented by AAA Tire and Auto Service Centers. Welcome back to One Tank Travel. I'm wrapping up a day in Adrian, Michigan with a tour of Chaloner Cigar House. My guide through this 3-story landmark of downtown is, well, I'll just let her introduce herself.
Hi, I'm Jolynn Roberts, bar manager of Chaloner Cigar House.
Naturally, we started on the ground floor.
So this is our large humidor on the first floor in retail.
So what's the varying levels? You know, we obviously this is a thicker cigar. There's some that are thinner there. Like, what is the difference maybe in the shapes and sizes and in the flavors?
Kind of depends on the length of the smoke. If you're looking for like a 30-minute smoke, more than likely you're looking at a shorter cigar, longer stick, thicker stick. Around is going to be a longer, slow-burning smoke. But yeah, if you smell that, you can smell like the wood through the burny.
It really came through. Chalners?
Chalners.
Okay, so no E's on the Chalners. This is a historic building, right? Been around a long time?
1874. It was founded by William H. Chaloner. He and his wife owned it until 1977. And then 3 owners after he owned it. And I believe 2015 is when it shut down. And then a few years later, we had 2 owners come in and see the vision to revamp the historical Chaloners.
Cigars are the name of the game, but the first floor store offers much more, including sweets and Shulners' signature popcorn. And it's made in coconut oil?
100% coconut oil.
Really good. I said it smelled like a movie theater in here, and Dylan's like, it's better in a movie theater. This is phenomenal. So let's check out the other levels. The next one we're going to see what? That's a bar area on the second floor?
This is our second floor lounge.
Love this rustic feel with the exposed brick. I mean, you really get the idea of this being a historic building. So this is a cigar lounge area, right?
Yes, this whole floor is smoking.
And then on the other side, we're gonna see a bar first, but I noticed this. What is this thing over here?
So this is an old peanut roaster. Similar to the one that Mr. Chaloner used to use downstairs. Say maybe roughly around 60 years old, it refurbished.
Not only the building has some history, but that, you know, almost like an artifact within the building. That's really cool. We're gonna walk into the other side, because I'm really interested about this aspect. This is a bar side. What can you tell me about this?
Oh man, so we have a large selection of high-end bourbon, scotch, dark rums, tequila. We have a large craft cocktail menu. We use all fresh ingredients, fresh syrups, fresh juices. I create the cocktail menu, and it's definitely something different for this area.
So if I was a regular, you would be my favorite person, is what you're telling me.
I can mix you up anything.
All right. And I'm seeing more cigars here.
Our second floor humidor, a little bit more of a private selection. We also have the Pappy Van Winkle and the Davidoff line, as well in this humidor that are not in place downstairs.
Let's check out the next level, because there's 3 levels to this place. What are we gonna see up here?
Yeah, so we have two different rooms up here. We have an atrium, which is a non-smoking area, and we also have a members lounge. We have 130 members in our society.
All right, let's take a look when we get up there.
So we're walking into our atrium. This is our non-smoking area, so we do have a space for anyone that, you know, wants to be away from that smoke or have a little bit more of a quiet style.
Absolutely, I could see this. Are these places reserved, like this level? Could you get this for like a private party?
Yeah, we do small events, birthday parties, business events.
You can get drinks and things like that up here?
Yes.
This is, I almost felt like a burst of oxygen that came through when I came up here. I don't know if it's going from such a dark area to light, but it's such a different feel, yet still on par with the vibes of the rest of the place.
Yeah.
And then hooked onto this is an area that a lot of people can't see because it's a VIP area, so we're really, you know, going behind the scenes here. The Shulners Cigar Society.
We have photos of different athletes that maybe played for Michigan, played in Adrian, started in their career in Adrian.
And then this is another smoking area over here.
Yes. So we have our members' lockers on this side. These are all temperature regulated. We have 130 in-house, and we are on a wait list for a locker.
This is an amazing tour. I mean, we kind of like did a little brief version. I'm sure there's so much more history we could get into it. Can we try a cigar? Should we indulge while we're up here?
I definitely think we should. So we chose the Pappy Van Winkle, the barrel fermented cigar for you. We always want to cut the cap off the head of the cigar. There is a straight cut or V-cut, small or large. This being a little bit more of a thicker cigar, I would probably do straight cut all the way around. It's all about like toasting it and rolling it, so leave it out of your mouth. So it's all about like holding it about an inch away and just toasting it. Remember when you're smoking a cigar to never inhale, you kind of roll it around in your mouth and then let it out. You're good. You're getting the woodsy, the oak.
Yeah, it's got a really good, I mean, that's the best way to describe it. And it does pair well with that drink. Thank you for taking us around, Shulners. I mean, this is an awesome place in Adrian. Rich with history, culture, and much more. Downtown Adrian is less than an hour from Toledo and well worth your time for a day or weekend getaway.